On a second, I don't know where you went. Wait. Oh no, where are you? I accidentally moved my mouse and I lost you on my screen. Hold on.
No worries.
Back. It's got to be here. Stop video, pin video, rename. Oh no, I don't know how to get you back up.
It's okay. Take your time. It's okay. We're live now, but it's okay.
Okay, we're good. Let's roll with it.
It's always an adventure. Don't worry. Okay, we're live.
Hi, Leo.
Hello. Hello. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Live with Leo at 5. And it is 5:12, a little bit delayed, but that's quite okay. Facebook can be a little finicky sometimes. But I want to introduce you to you a great friend of mine, a wonderful musician, and her name is Michaela Compton. And Michaela, she is from Las Vegas, Nevada, originally, and she is a performing singer, songwriter, a composer, and she's also a music business owner, producing music-related shows for radio, for television, for live events, and she's expanding her music business currently to include live streaming songwriting interviews. So welcome, Michaela. How are you?
Hi, Leo. I'm good. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
You're welcome. I'm so excited to talk to you. It's been a while since we had seen each other and talked. It's been a while since I've heard you sing live, which I miss, but you've been doing some wonderful things. I've been kind of watching here and there, and recently you have some super exciting things to show us, which we will get to. But for the audience here, everybody who's listening right now, if you are on live, go ahead and put in the comments the word live so that I know that you're out there. I know that you're listening and that the streaming is working properly. If you're out there watching on a replay, just go ahead and put in the comments the word replay so that I know that you are on as a replay. If you guys have any questions throughout the interview, just go ahead and put it in the comments. And we'll try to get to them toward the end. But yeah, so if you have any questions, comments, and things like that, feel free to throw it out there. I'll be able to see it. But first of all, I want to speak with Michaela here and just kind of I want to introduce you to everybody, and I want them to know like your background story and how you got into music, and what was that journey like? Were you always a musician? I know some people that I've known, they were born into a music family. They've been playing since they were 2.5 years old, and they've just been a musician forever. Was that, what was your history and your journey? Tell us.
Well, my musical journey started around junior high school age. I grew up in Las Vegas, Nevada, and living in Las Vegas, I saw all of my neighbors and friends and pretty much everyone in town being entertainers. And I caught the music bug myself, and I love to dance and sing and do some choreography and play some piano. And so I started auditioning for different groups in school, started doing that. And then at the age of 17, I started playing on the Las Vegas Strip in some of the casino lounges. And that's how I got my start. I actually just thought, well, you live in Las Vegas, this is what you're supposed to do. So I did what I thought I was supposed to do. And so I started off as a singer, and I would sing with house bands, and different bands would hire me to front their bands. And so that's how I started in Las Vegas.
So in Vegas, you would just book with any band that were out playing in, smaller venues as well as larger venues, and you would strictly be a singer that they would bring on as part of their band if they needed. Did you have like a band of your own from the very start, from 17 years old? Did you have like a band that you were with all the time, and you went to did different venue, or you just kind of hopped around with different bands?
Yeah, at that time, junior high and high school, I hopped around different bands, whoever wanted to hire me or use me. I would also play piano as accompanying another singer, other singers. But the piano was the smaller, the least thing that I did at the time, but I did that as well. So yeah, anyone that wanted to hire me, that's who I would sing with. And I just kind of snuck in under the radar, not being 21. I just would do my hair and have, have the clothes on and look the part. So it was pretty much undetected, and the bands would pay me. So I never had to prove my age at the time, but I was 17.
I hear those stories sometimes, and I'm always kind of envious because I've always wanted more uh, a journey of adventure and stuff like that. And it sounds like you had that, like you were with different bands or different personalities, different venues, and it was probably like a blast to just be out and about and to be all over the place at such a young age. And I'm sure you learned a lot, probably grew up way sooner than
Yes.
what you normally would have, just because you're so exposed to everything out there, in the venues. So how was that for you?
Wow. Well, yeah, I did grow up a little bit faster than probably the average person, that being because I was in the casino environments and the drinking environments and having to deal with people who were often drinking too much in the lounges, and, they'd spout out different things at me. And I learned some things backstage as well, like, um, you're often asked to compromise when you're, I'm sure it happens to males too, but as a young female, I was in some situations where I had to choose if I wanted to sing again next Friday, if I needed to meet with the manager in order to sing next Friday. And those kind of opportunities I always said no to. Um, Quite shocking to me. But I also know several people that said yes to those opportunities, and it was quite an eye-opener at a young age.
To say the least, right? I mean, that's just the way our culture has been. I mean, up until only recently, that was really, something that people got more visibility of, just because of political things and sexual harassment and all that stuff. But, you know, 10 plus years ago, that was normal. Like, you were a female, you are being propositioned, if you're out and about, and if you're visible and you're being seen, you're out in the crowds, in the backstage or front stage or anything, you're attractive, young lady that everybody would want to, see what they can do to, get to you and put, certain bargains in front of you and see if you would take it, right?
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, I had those experiences at too young of an age.
Mhm.
Um, but I'm really glad also for the experience of working with musicians that had a lot more experience than I did. And they were very patient with me in telling me, Michaela, next time we want you to bring a Nashville number chart or a chord chart. So different bands required that you brought different types of charts. And so at a young age, I learned how to make both types of charts and provide that for the band. And also being able to play piano, I understood what the band members needed to be able to accompany you. So um, I feel very lucky that I learned more skills at a young age in that respect.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I was thinking as you were talking is that, the growing up is a good thing. We all have to grow up. Unfortunately, some people are still not grown up and they're way beyond adulthood. But if you get an opportunity to be exposed to a lot of things, and that's one of the things I so admire about what you said is that you were with different bands, and so therefore you had to adapt,
Yes,
all the time,
yes,
every week, maybe you're playing with three different bands in one week and you have to adapt to the different style. And that's such a great environment to be in, rather than a sheltered type of thing. so you got to learn those skills of adapting and, go with the flow or be a certain way. And you got to have that kaleidoscope of skills, and that's one of the things that I think a lot of musicians need to really be a well-rounded musician, that they can really express their art with the skills that they acquired.
I'm glad that you mentioned the word adapt, because yes, I also sang in church at the time. I attended Trinity Temple in Las Vegas, and they were at the time one of the very few churches that were on the radio. They were on SOS radio. They still are, but 20 something years ago, they were one of the few to be broadcast live on the radio during a church service. And so I would sing at the church, and that would broadcast on the radio. And you're talking about the skill of being able to adapt. Let me see if I can put this in draw a good picture with this. Some people that are church going people, they are maybe not so open to the entertainers that perform downtown in the Strip and the casinos. And so there's kind of a wall that divides people singing in church versus people singing in the secular world or the casino world, right?
Right.
Well, I sang in both, and I am very lucky to have been able to have had those experiences, and also being able to adapt to both, because I think that it not only gave me the musical flexibility and skill set, but it also gave me the people skills to be accepting and be able to work with church going people and those environments, and the working entertainment world and those environments. And I just see myself as always having a love for both sets of people and no judgment towards either one. And that ability to adapt to both of those scenarios played a big part in my life as a musician when I moved to Mississippi in the Bible Belt.
Mm, mm. I mean, I so admire you for that, because a lot of people can't do it. They can't do both. They can't adapt to that, and just goes to show, the kind of character you have to be able to, not necessarily adapt, but to be embracing the best of everything secular, and the sacred, environments. So I appreciate that about you just as a person, because I know so many people that, they're really right wing or left wing, and you can't convince them any otherwise, which is totally fine. But I think your life can be a lot richer when you can find the best of both worlds.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, and it's unbeknownst to me at the time when I was a teenager in Las Vegas, I had no idea how that particular skill set was going to be of huge value to me down the road when we relocated to Mississippi, and I jumped into that music scene, both the secular music scene and the church music scene. And you can imagine the criticism that already exists in both of those worlds
Yeah, for sure.
being amplified 10 times in the Bible Belt, and being able to deal with the criticism from both sides, and being able to say, and not that it didn't hurt me at times, it hurt me quite often, but at the end of the day, you really have to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and know that you're walking a good walk, and know that you can go to sleep knowing that you're the best person you can be. That's at the end of the day the most important thing, because The criticism is going to come from either side of that in either one of those teams, if you will. And neither one is wrong or right. They both have valid points. But at the end of the day, can you live with where you're performing? Can you live with how you conduct yourself on stage and off stage?
Yeah, I think you're right on with that. Um, I had recently I heard it from somebody, and this struck me as a way to look at it, is that we have our own personal belief, our personal belief, our spirituality and everything, our personal belief, that has nothing to do with externally what other beliefs that they are. So you can still have your personal belief, but the social beliefs of other external world, you can also intersect with them without judgment, because you have a strong personal belief that does not conflict with the external social belief. So I think that was, to me, that made a lot of sense, and it made me clarify, like, okay, they don't have to be so confusing. You should have your own. Everybody should have their own personal beliefs, their own personal spiritual journey that has nothing to do with what the external world is doing.
Right. Well, it only took me my entire life to figure that out. But
so you moved to Mississippi. What prompted that?
well, my husband and I were both from Las Vegas, and we got married in Vegas. And then he was a mainframe computer on banking software. So the Bank of Mississippi hired him and moved us out there. And so we went on an adventure as newlyweds and moved out there. And I wound up living in Mississippi for a combined total of 17 years. We did move back and forth from Mississippi to Vegas a few times, back and forth. He was able to keep his same job but telecommute. But then 9/11 happened, and we moved back to Mississippi to be in the office, etc. Different reasons for moving back and forth. But he maintained the same job with Bank of Mississippi until 2007, when things changed.
So that whole time you were still in music, you were playing, you were getting gigs and all that kind of stuff. So you basically transitioned right over to Mississippi when you were there, and continue as a musician, right? Now that would be, I'm guessing, throughout your 20s then?
My predominantly my 30s.
Okay.
And also initially in Mississippi, it was all church related. It took me quite a long time to figure out the music venues and the bar scene in the North Mississippi to Memphis to Nashville scene. It took a long time to figure that out. So predominantly church initially. And my husband and I, he had always played guitar, but privately at home. I twisted his arm for a good 12 years and finally convinced him to play with me. And we started a music ministry. And so we were booking a lot of gigs from church to church and from revival to revival. And we did that up until things changed in 2007.
Okay, so basically you transitioned that music of playing gigs with different bands and stuff and moving to Mississippi, and you and your husband went into basically a different phase of your musical career as a band that went church to church to play your music.
Yes. Yes, and that was our music ministry, and it was called Devotion Song at the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Now that part I didn't know, so I'm really really interested in how that was. I almost wish that I could have been there to watch you, do your ministry and sing and all that stuff, because I just think that musicians are so wonderful, and you're wonderful. Now I know that beyond that you went into other parts of music. Can you kind of tell us more about that and how that leads up to where you are now?
Yes, I can. So 2007, I'm going to start with a major life-changing event that happened in 2007. And that was, and this is going to lead us into where I am now. So in 2007, my husband and I, we were asked to play at a church revival. And so we packed up the kids. We had two little boys and a brand new baby girl. We got in the truck and we were driving towards the church, and we were going to meet the pastor, attend church, check out the sound equipment and see what they had and see what we need, just check out the whole thing before we did the music. So on our way to the church, we were in a really bad auto accident and my husband lost his life. I was knocked unconscious and broke 9 bones myself. I didn't wake up till 2 days later. And my children were taken to different hospitals. My daughter was taken to a hospital separate from all of us in a completely different state. So we were all separated. And so I wound up in a wheelchair for about 3 or 4 months and was reunited with my children. But from that point of that auto accident and losing my husband, on the way to serve church, on the way to provide music, I had decided right then and there that I would never do music again, ever. And I sold 80% of our music equipment, vowed I would never do it again. We had also just added on to our house, we built a large, beautiful music studio. And he unfortunately didn't get to use it one day, because the day that the music studio was finished was a Saturday. The day we were in the auto accident was the next Sunday. So I literally just closed off the door, and that music room was unused for the next 6, almost 7 years. I tried to use the room for different purposes, but I just really felt like it was not a good room for me to be in. So I literally did nothing but attend church, sing in church, take care of my children, come home. Literally only that for almost 7 years. During that time, of course, I was healing physically. I went through multiple surgeries. My little girl, she was born with a heart defect. She had to have open heart surgery. So we had to heal physically and emotionally. And then we had to survive. And the survival mode was the longest phase of all. Well, during that time, I really felt I felt that tug within inside myself of yearning for the music I had always had in my life before. And also I felt drawn to pursue being a songwriter for the first time. I'd always wanted to be, didn't know how to be. I'd always just sang covers in the past. So I felt these things tugging at my heart. And I had some friends that owned the Unity TV network. And I reached out to them and I said, I want to come check out what you guys are doing. I want to try to meet some other songwriters and kind of maybe if I hang out with some songwriters, I could learn how to be a songwriter. Maybe that would be a good way for me to tiptoe back into the music scene. So I met with my friends at their TV station and told them exactly that. And their proposal to me, or suggestion to me, was, well, why don't you build a TV show and invite songwriters and interview them and, find your way back into the music scene. And I left that appointment thinking, Dick, oh my gosh, you're crazy. I just want to meet people. I didn't want to go on TV. But I took the challenge and I dove in, and I not only created one live TV show, I created 2. And I did that for approximately a year and a half. At that point in time, I realized I had met so many musicians doing that and so many songwriters doing that. I realized I needed another platform to continue meeting these songwriters, because at Unity TV, that's a Christian broadcasting network. And so I was limited to only bringing Christian songwriters on the show, which I was glad for, but there's so many others in the Tupelo to Nashville to Memphis area, as you can imagine, that are any genre, every genre. So somebody that I happened to interview on the TV station, he worked for a radio station, and he set up a meeting with me to meet the general manager at Mississippi Radio Group in Tupelo, Mississippi. And I just walked in there, green behind the ears, let me tell you. And I just said, sir, if you have a spare 15 minutes on your worst station, the worst time of day, would you consider allowing me to bring this songwriter interview show to the radio so that I could interview any songwriter in any genre? And I walked out of that meeting with an hour show on their best station. And I have been doing that radio show now for 5 years. And in the meantime, I started writing my own songs. I taught myself how to play guitar. And I now have, I released my debut EP in 2018. And I just released my first music video last Friday. So I am a performing singer-songwriter now. I continue to do the radio show. And I do that under my sole proprietorship, Michaela Compton Music, LLC. And I'm going to be expanding. So that's where I am now.
Wow. I mean, I'm just locked into your story. So much, so much grief there. And so sorry for the accident and everything. And it sounded like it really, it was a big speed bump in your life, but you pulled through, you're here, you found your way back to music, and you found your way into what I think what everybody sees is what your talent is. Once you come talk with singer-songwriters and be able to help them expose their talent and their need, even if you are not feeling like your place is to perform, at the time, to allow you to start going back. I'll just say going back onto the journey of music, because you really didn't know, were a bit lost through the whole tragedy and everything, but now, you've come through that. I mean, I can't even imagine, how what you have to even go through. I've never broken a bone in my own body, and certainly not anything like what your losses were. So it's an amazing, and a very inspirational story that you shared to bring you to where you are, and really a success in putting yourself out there, helping the singer-songwriter community, being on the radio and being able to bring a show to the masses, and then now bringing your own music to life, and being a singer, songwriter, and a producer, of your own music, and play guitar. So very, very inspirational. I think everybody out there listening should take note that whatever is happening to you, you will find your way, and you will find where you ultimately will is meant to be at. Which, Michaela, I think you're the perfect example of where you are now. The skill sets that you developed as a teenager, and then into the music industry, and developed all those coping skills and adapting skills that you had, and then having such a great family life and touring with, your ministry, in music, and then now being a singer, songwriter, producer, radio host. I can't even, finish that whole, journey of all the things that you do. So congratulations to you. Thank you for sharing that story.
Yes, thank you, Leo.
So with the release of your music, first of all, there's a lot of you out there watching right now. If you guys have any questions or anything like that, feel free to put it in the comments. But I do want to talk with you, Michaela, a little bit more about the new release of your music, as well as the music video. Can you talk about what the inspiration was for you for that, to get that project and finishing that project, and now tell us about your music video, what that's about, and what everybody should know. I'm sure everybody here is going to go and listen and watch. I'm going to put the links up there for you guys, but tell us about that.
Sure. Okay. So my debut EP is titled Light of the City. It's a 4-song EP, and it was completed in the fall of 2018 while I was moving from Mississippi to California. And so we recorded most of it in at my producer's home in Amory, Mississippi, Mr. Tony Hooper. Mr. Tony Hooper is quite the man. He has 200 songs on catalog and a gold record, and he's part of the blues community. If you ever take the blues trail throughout Mississippi, you'll see his name on one of the marquees. But anyways, he helped me with the project. So we got most of it recorded in Mississippi, but we also hired Dean Rivera. He lives in New Jersey. He is a friend of mine, and he is a 5-time Emmy Award percussion player. So he is on track number 3, the title track, Light of the City, titled Light of the City. And so he's playing on that. And when I got to California, I finished some of the vocals literally in my brand new California apartment. I set up kind of a makeshift studio in my bedroom and finished some of the vocals from there and sent the tracks over to Tony in Mississippi and finished the EP. And then, so the release of my music video, I had filmed most of that video last year, and then the video was put on hold because the videographer that I had hired did not like my the spin I wanted to take on the video, which was concentrating on my daughter being the star of the video instead of myself. And I also wanted her story in text as part of the video. So the videographer guy did not agree with that end scenario. So he sent me what he had, and then I sat on it and finally decided, why am I sitting on this? This is my content, my video, my song, my daughter. I am going to put it out the way I want to put it out. And so I finished it, added her story to it, did some more editing, and released it Friday. So the song is titled The Best Thing I've Ever Done. It's a song from my perspective as a mother, and the lyrics in the song talk about how here's this child who would come along and change my mind and change my direction. My little girl was born with Down syndrome, and that was a surprise to me. And so while I was pregnant with her, I had all the normal dreams of having a girl and going to prom and having grandchildren and etc. So when she was born, I discovered that, she has Down syndrome. That I immediately was in shock, and then I had to immediately grieve the daughter that I'm not going to have. I thought I was going to have this daughter, but I'm having this daughter. So I had to grieve for the daughter that I planned on having, and also simultaneously find the right emotions to cherish and love and embrace the child I've been given. And so the lyrics in the song talk about that. And I talk about how she changed my direction, but she's also my reflection. And she is ultimately the best thing I've ever done. And so my side of the story is the song itself. And then the video is mostly of her. I'm in the video a little bit, but you're watching her play and laugh, and you're seeing her personality. And there's text that I added to the video, and the text is telling the story from her perspective. She says, "Hi, my name is Bethany." And so all the text that you're reading is her speaking. So it's, in a way, it's a two-way conversation. The mom is singing this, the daughter is saying that, hopefully giving the viewer maybe a more well-rounded picture of the relationship.
Yeah, I think that's so, so beautiful. And you're such an incredible person. And, and with your daughter having, some special needs, but you embraced everything just like you always have done throughout your life. And this is no different. And cherish all the blessings that you've been given, as well. And taking that and basically create your version of your art out there for what your life is like with your daughter, and how much you cherish her, and how great life is, in essence. And it's so I don't even have the word for it, but and to bring that out into a music video where you have written the songs, play the songs, sing in the songs, and bring out this vision, that's just incredible to me. The amount of creativity and effort, and all the pieces that have to come together. So congratulations to you. I'm going to definitely put the link to the video, in the post here for everybody to see. It's a very, very inspiring. So we'll just try to, get it out there and share it, to the world. So thank you for sharing that story. I actually had not known that, the whole origin of the story. So I'm really touched, by it. So so that's what you've got, going on right now. And as you are always, I'm sure you have some big plans going ahead. So what's going to be happening here?
All right, so I have been in California for 18 months now, and it is time to add to my music business projects. And what I plan on doing is starting another songwriter interview show. And I'm trying to, I want to make sure with this new show that anyone globally can be a guest, not just specific to the South, but any songwriter globally can be a guest. And I am trying to decide on whether it's going to be a video live streaming broadcast, or only an audio podcast, or all of the above. Because all of the above is possible if I can figure out the right way to capture the audio, video, and do it professionally. I want the show to be top-notch quality. I also want to make sure that the show reflects another element that I'm passionate about, and that is my songwriter shows are not the typical one where every single guest is a hit songwriter. If I have a hit songwriter on the show, well, that's fantastic. But my passion really is to give the up and coming artist a platform and a voice to be heard, because you may or may not be surprised by it, but there are many up and coming artists that are just as good, if not just as good as, as the hit songwriters. And I think that the new guy, if you will, the underdog, if you will, deserve a chance and a platform and a voice to be heard. And also I'm passionate about that because I'm that new songwriter trying to find my way. And so that's why I'm passionate about that little sector of songwriters. So I want to be sure that the new up and coming songwriters have a good, polished, professional platform as well.
Yeah, that's super amazing, and I'm so excited for you on this at this stage in your life to be able to launch, a live streaming of some sort, whether it's audio, video, or all of the above, to be able to showcase musicians out there. And like you said, the whole world is a stage, and we can bring that stage, onto your show. And I would love to see that happen for you and for all the musicians. There are so many, I think you're absolutely right. There's so many musicians who are just as good, and I'll just say it, if not better, and it just don't have a platform and just don't have an audience. And now, more than ever, we need more art. We need more music, to be out there, because there's so much talent that's not being showcased.
Right.
And so I think people like you could bring that to life for them. That would be terrific. And I think the more platforms like that, where we can showcase these talented artists. And I love art of all kinds, and especially music, but artists of all kinds, either painters or other type of art, they need their platform too. Um, I think you and I talked a little bit about my history, is that I never had a music background growing up or anything like that. Nobody dragged me into a bar and asked me to sing. But I did pick up learning to play classically late in life, when I was in college, and that was actually one of my majors that I did not pursue a career in, but I definitely got a lot of education, like life education, from it. So I have no regrets. And so that's my love, for music. And when you speak about you giving to the music industry, it just really touches my heart. So thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you, Leo.
Yeah. So you're going to be launching the live streaming. I think I'll probably have you back when you are having your launch, so we can announce that to the world and let everybody get in. So I would love to have you back,
Okay.
when that happens. As I mentioned earlier, I'm going to put all the links and everything that we talked about, into our post, so people can go and check it out. Check out the music, check out the video and all that stuff. But other than that, how can people get in touch with you or get to know you more, and see everything that you have done and everything? How can people get more Michaela?
Sure. I am easy to find. You can find me on most social media platforms, and I love to talk to people. So don't hesitate to send me a message, maybe through Facebook Messenger, if you will. Michaela Compton Music on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, on Reverb Nation. I also have a website, www.michaelacomptonmusic.net, and that'll tell you my music is available on there, and also my story, a synopsis of my story, also my business portfolio as well is on there, and my email address, michaelacomptonmusic@gmail.com. And I really do love talking to people, and I do want people to know that I'm easily accessible. Please reach out to me if you have any questions or anything. We want to talk about the new show.
Yeah. So all you musicians out there, all you closet or non-closet musicians out there, you want to talk music, you want to maybe be showcased on Michaela's future show. Let's get you, on the books, and so we can, schedule you out and give you a little spotlight, for you to show your musical talents and stuff like that. So please, do so if you're a musician out there listening. Um, so I um, our show here, we're gonna close up here in a minute here, but one of the things I like to ask my guests here is that um, one of the focus of my show is to just bring on people who are here in the community and are building communities within our community, whether it's music, whether it's art, whether it's business or entrepreneurship. And Michaela, you've been here, like you said, 18 months in Orange County. And so I want to ask you this question. What do you love about where you live now?
Well, 20 minutes to any beach. I love that. I love that. I love the water, and it was a goal to get as close as I could to the water, hopefully closer in the future. But I would say kind of 20 minutes from Newport, 20 minutes from Laguna. I love that. I love the fact that exactly where my condo is right now, I am right in between Tustin and Irvine by the marketplace. And so my teenage boys who grew up in Mississippi never had the experience of being able to walk out the street to a store, that we were miles from the store in Mississippi. So I love the fact that I can just tell them, get out, go walk to the movie theater when it opens back up.
Yeah, get out of here for a while. Go enjoy something.
I love that I'm by my family again. And I love the weather. I love that there's no tornadoes, and I love that there's no mosquitoes.
Yeah. I tell people that, but they all tell me that they're afraid of earthquakes, which hardly ever happens. And exactly, that's what I say. So, as per tradition of our show, Michaela has a quote to share with all of you. So, take it away.
Yes, especially applies to the current situation, but it applies to any time of the year. The truth is that we all need each other. We need each other to live, to laugh, to love, to be inspired, and to just be a source of life. And so,
Great. Well, you are a source of light for sure for all of us, and it's more so in the music industry. We can't wait for your show to launch and start seeing guests come on and talk about their music. Um, all of you, if you're watching, if you like the show, if you like the guests I'm bringing on, Michaela, one of my favorites, and I just love being around music all the time, and she brings that around me. So I'm really happy to have her on today. So if you like the show, let me know in the comments, and we will be doing this live every day at 5. My show is called Live with Leo at 5. Yesterday was special because it's like May 5th at 5 o'clock. So today is May 6th at 5 o'clock. And so, but anyway, thank you so much, Michaela, for being on the show. And we will see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching.
thank you, Leo.
All right, bye.
Bye.